Hey everyone, Henry Adasso here, and I'd like to talk to you about marketing during a downturn. Now, why is this topic so important? As you know, the world has changed. Everything has changed. Marketing has to evolve. And I was really looking for a framework that can help me understand how to think about marketing in a time like this. And I couldn't really find anything that really put it all together. So I decided to develop one myself, right? And I'd like to share that with you today. And you may be wondering why is this something I should care about? And let me tell you this, unless your marketing plan pre-pandemic had a great deal of clairvoyance built into it, it probably is largely outdated and it probably needs to evolve. I'm not saying you scratch everything. It's still important to maintain a long-term strategy, but I'm saying that a lot of it probably has to evolve to reflect the current environment. As we know, more people are now buying online. Shopping preferences are just rapidly evolving, and safety is now top of mind. So a lot of things are in motion, and I really wanted to bring a sense of calm and a sense of structure to how to think about marketing in a way that's pragmatic, that is cost effective, and that really works. So I'll share what that framework looks like with you today, and I'll go over it with some specific examples of what you can do to really resonate with your marketing as a small business owner or as a marketing leader working for an organization. This applies. So this is a 5-step process that begins with sense, right? What do I mean by sense as step one? It means that you need to have a strong sense of reality. In any crisis, it's important to take a step back and survey the land and understand what's really going on. Only then can you respond accordingly. When you think about this process specifically, you want to think about what's going on with your marketing and also what's going on with your customers. So one way to do this is by using what I call a marketing impact analysis. Marketing impact analysis. What do I mean by this? It's twofold. Step one is to look at your internal marketing program, literally put it on a spreadsheet and go, how are my channels performing? What kind of traffic am I getting through my website? What kind of social media engagement am I getting? And then you want to compare this with your performance before the crisis. So the benchmark, the baseline would be pre-crisis. So in this case, the public health crisis was declared a pandemic on March 11, 2020, I believe. So you want to look at your performance prior to that and your performance after that and just see what sort of impact this has created. I haven't seen anybody use this term yet, but that's the term that I created called the marketing impact analysis. And it's specific to a crisis or a downturn to see how you've been impacted after the fact. So that's step one. The second piece of it is to look externally to your customers and see how are they affected. What is their new economic situation? And also this allows you to segment them in a way that will make sense. We'll discuss that a little bit later. Now, you might say, okay, that sounds great, Henry. How exactly do I know what their situation is? I don't live with these people. I have no clue what their business is. Great question. You can just ask them, right? So send a survey and ask them about their budgeting plans. How much are they planning to spend? What kind of budget are they working with from now to, let's say, the next 6 months or a year? And you want to understand their comfort level with continuing to do business with you. And all of these different things would give you an idea of where they are in terms of how much they were impacted. Okay. You also want to look at your industry at large to see how was the industry itself impacted. So you can do this by looking at your association data, ask them to send you some data on how other businesses are responding and what kind of impact they're feeling. You can also purchase third-party data if you have the budget to do that. But essentially, you want to see how this affected the whole landscape, right? So you know exactly what's going on. So that's step one, sense. Step two is to empathize. Empathize. This is probably not what you expected to hear, right? Because you're like, well, how do I put that into tactics? Well, here's the thing. I believe that at its core, most marketing is an exercise in empathy. So it's especially important when people are going through rough times. And right now, the people that you seek to serve are juggling multiple concerns, health concerns, business concerns, and it's always a good time to empathize with them. How do you put this into practice specifically? Well, one way to do it is through your communication. Right now, there is a temptation to over communicate, to send out emails every day and to have a webinar every week. And that might not always be the best approach. So you want to take a step back and say, okay, well, why am I sending this email? Am I sending this email to customers just so that they can hear me, just to shout over the competition? Or is it something that's going to add value? So you want to take your time to be thoughtful about the messaging, to be thoughtful about the frequency of it, and to make sure that it's only when it's absolutely necessary that you send that out. So that is a form of empathy. Number three in this 5-step process is negotiate. Negotiate. So what I mean by this is when times are tough, usually budget is also a little bit low, and you may be looking for ways to save and ways to be more practical with your marketing. Well, you want to reach out to your vendors and say, hey, what can we work out here, right? So let's say you're thinking about investing in new marketing technology and you don't have the budget for it. Well, pick up the phone, call the vendor and say, here's my situation. What can you do for me? What you might find is that a lot of the vendors are also trying to stay afloat. So they are happy to do business with you at a time like this, and they may be more flexible than you realize. In fact, I'm seeing a lot of platforms develop new packages and value offerings just to keep people coming back. And you think about the negotiating phase, think about Apple, right? So Apple is a good example. They came up with a new product that is low cost, right? Because they want people to keep coming back to Apple. So just look at ways to negotiate, to get your get the tools that you need without breaking the bank. Same thing with your customers, right? You want to be open to negotiating with them. If they want more flexibility, be flexible. If they need more time to make payments, you also want to be able to give them that flexibility. So be open to it. Number 4, shape. What I mean by this is a great time to rethink and reposition your entire marketing mix, your products, your promotions, the way that you deliver them, whether it's online or offline. Maybe you're running an event offline typically, and now you've got to move online. So this is a great time to reposition, to shape your marketing mix to reflect the new realities. An example of this is PepsiCo. So PepsiCo decided to start 2 websites where you can now order snacks and it's delivered to your door, right? So because people are more hesitant to go into stores for fear of contracting the virus, now they can just push a button and the snacks, the Doritos, comes to their door, right? So this is they're reshaping the way that they deliver. Like this would be the place in your marketing mix, the way that they deliver these products, going from traditional to online. What are ways that you can reshape your product mix or your services? What can you do differently that people will be receptive to? Worth thinking about. You also want to think about your pricing strategies, right? When you think about repositioning, what are your current pricing strategies? So in a time of economic recession, it may make sense to look at giving people more deferred payment options, Another one would be to give them results-based pricing, or to give them a flexible pricing where it's, if you lose your job, then bring it back, something like that. So there are a lot of different ways that you can rethink your pricing strategy to reflect the current environment. The key is to ask the question and say, what makes the most sense for my customers based on where they are, right? So number 5, the last one, is envision. So none of us has a crystal ball. I know I don't, but you want to look at the future and say, well, how is this likely to end? What are the possible scenarios? Because the future is going to come here, whether we like it or not, it's going to come, right? So we have to be prepared. So you want to run simulation exercises and say, what is the likeliest outcome? And then the second part of that question is, how does that impact me? Based on that outcome, what is the outlook of my business, of my industry? And then you can plan accordingly. So that's the 5-step methodology. And if you notice, it spells out SENSE, sense, easy to remember. So this is the sense framework, if you will. And applying this should help you increase trust, increase engagement, build long-term goodwill, and hopefully take your marketing to the next level. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching.